Today we are going to look into the topic architecture in colonial India. So first of all, what is colonial architecture? Colonial architecture consists of two words, one being colonial, which refers to colonial India, and other being architecture, which means the way something is designed. Firstly, it is important for us to understand the context or meaning of colonial India. Colonial India is the part of the Indian subcontinent which was under the control of European colonial powers through trade and conquest. The first European power to arrive in India was the army of Alexander the Great in 327 to 326 BC. Later on, a group of British traders called the East India Company first came to India at the beginning of the 17th century. At this time, India was ruled by the Muslim Mughal Empire, who ruled from Delhi in northern India. Portugal by then had already established colonies in Goa and Bombay by then, and other European countries like France, Sweden, and the Netherlands were already actively trading with India. During that time, the political atmosphere in India during the last phase of the Mughal rule was disastrous. The oppression by the Mughals forged several new faiths into militant religious sects. Death of Emperor Aurangzeb in the year 1707 brought the whole of India into a series of rivalries. The competing local rulers appealed to the British and the French with their superior logistical capabilities to intervene in the territorial battles. These calls for help ultimately enabled the colonial powers to expand its power. The French led the way in turning aid into domination. The British were quick to emulate the French. In other words, by the middle of the 17th century, the authority of the Mughal leaders had weakened and therefore easily manipulated. And by the end of the 17th century, it had effective authority over three principal ports in India, that is Bombay, Madras, and Calcutta. The power of the British spread across India, and by the 1850s, almost the entire country was under its total control. With headquarters in Madras, the British Governor General ruled over the country. The Europeans brought with them concepts of town planning and architecture, which was new to India. A number of new towns and new suburbs were built to house the British, and the pattern of new town planning changed. India was still divided into administrative districts as under the Mughals, and the towns which functioned as district headquarters were the ones where most of the new architecture was built. Later in the early 19th, British Empire built many masterpieces of architecture, including the Viceroy Lounge in Delhi. The before said things are a basic introduction to colonial architecture in India. Colonial architecture in India started in the year 1500 AD and lasted till 1947 AD. Like all other aspects, colonialization of India also had an impact on architectural style. The Dutch, Portuguese, and the French made their presence felt through their buildings, but it was the English who had a lasting impact on architecture. Next, we are going to look into Indo-Saracenic architecture. First of all, the architecture in India is rooted in history, culture, and religion. There are a number of architecture styles and traditions in India, but historically known styles are the Hindu temple architecture, Indo-Islamic architecture, and Indo-Saracenic architecture. So, what is exactly Indo-Saracenic architecture? Indo-Saracenic architecture or Indo-Saracenic revival architecture, also known as Indo-Gothic, Hindu-Gothic, Mughal Gothic, and Neo-Mughal architecture, denotes the fusion of Indo-Islamic and Indian architecture. Indo-Saracenic architecture is an absorption of exotic elements from native Indo-Islamic and Indian architecture and fusing it with the Gothic revival and neoclassic styles favored during the Victoria era. This architecture style was found during the British Raj period in the 19th century for building the public and government buildings. Indo-Saracenic architecture found its way into public buildings of all sorts, such as railway stations, banks, and insurance buildings, educational institutions, clubs, museums. Britain regained India for over 300 years, and their legacy still remains through buildings and infrastructure that populate their former colonies. Below mentioned are the principal characteristics of Saracenic architecture. Under colonial rule, the architecture became an emblem of power designed to endorse the pattern. Numerous outsiders invaded India and created architecture styles reflective of their ancestral and adopted homes. The European colonizers created architecture that symbolized their mission of conquest dedicated to the state or religion. As said before, the British, French, Dutch, and the Portuguese were the main powers that colonized India. British regained India for over 300 years, and their legacy still remains through building and infrastructure that populate their former colonies. The major cities colonized during this period were Madras, Calcutta, Bombay, Delhi, Agra, Nagpur, Bhopal, Hyderabad, Kochi, and Goa. The various masterpieces of colonial architecture in Delhi are the Parliament House, Indian Gate, Rashtrapati Bhavan, Central Secretariat, and Supreme Court of India. The Parliament House stands northwest of Vijay Chowk and was designed by Herbert Baker. The design implemented was a circular building ringed on the outside by a colonnaded veranda. The edifice, mainly of buff sandstone, sits on a red sandstone platform and sprawls over 6 acres. It is 560 feet in diameter. Parliament House consists of a central hall topped by a dome and 3 semicircular chambers that are surrounded by garden courts. The 3 semicircular chambers housed the Chamber of Prince, the Council of State, and the Legislative Assembly. In present-day India, the Rajya Sabha, that is the upper house, holds its session in one chamber, while the Lok Sabha, the House of the People, uses the other chamber. The third chamber has been converted into the Parliament Library. The Central Hall is now used as a venue for major international functions and for joint sessions involving both Houses of Parliament. India Gate. The gate is built as a special memorandum for all the soldiers who belong to the Indian Army and to all those who have given their lives lighting for the protection of their country. The monument was built as a memorial to Indian soldiers killed in the battle during the First World War, Indo-Afghan War, India-Pakistan War. The relatively plain facade and clean lines of India Gate lie in sharp contrast to the more ornate appearance of the Secretariat Building or Rashtrapati Bhavan. But like these buildings, India Gate is also composed mainly of buff sandstone. Between the narrower sides of the columns are 2 large sandstone pine cones symbolizing eternal life. The designing of India Gate was done by famous architect Sir Edwin Lutyens. Standing behind the gate is an empty canopy made out of sandstone, also designed by Lutyens and inspired by a 6th century pavilion of Mahabalipuram. The architecture of Rashtrapati Bhavan is an interesting example of imperial architecture designed during a period of growing anti-colonial feeling. It is an awe-inspiring structure, a solid symbol of British imperialism. Lutyens spent time traveling across India, trying to find elements in architecture that would fit with classical Western designs. Some of these elements are carved stone elephants, small domed pavilions, chajjas, marble floor invalid with colored stone, elegant floral, carved stone jalis, and many more. The most obvious Indian element is the building material, that is red and buff sandstone, a nod to preceding dynasties which also used it in their major monuments. Interestingly, Lutyens used no steel in this construction. The other visible Indian element at Rashtrapati Bhavan is its large dome. This was inspired by both the stupa at Sanchi and the Pantheon in Rome. The bronze dome is twice the height of the building. Lutyens also designed another major component of the Rashtrapati Bhavan estate, that is, the Mughal garden, which sprawled over 13 acres behind the building. In front of Rashtrapati Bhavan, you can see a 145 feet high column of buff sandstone topped with a bronze lotus and a glass star, famously known as Jaipur column. The Secretariat building was designed by Herbert Baker. Baker used a combination of European and indigenous architectural elements. The semicircular arches, the Corinthian columns, the Baroque dome are unmistakably Western, whereas the carved elephant and lotuses, red sandstone jalis, chajjas, and charters on the terrace are just as obviously Indian. In a nod to Mughal architecture, Baker designed the main entrance of both the blocks to resemble a traditional Mughal gateway. The north and south blocks sit on a plinth of about 30 feet above the ground and are connected by an underground passage. Between them, the four-storied Secretariat buildings have about 4,000 rooms, several inner fountain courts, and miles of corridors. Outside each block are two sandstone columns, a total of 4 columns in the Secretariat. These are also known as columns of dominion, where ceremonial gifts to India from the colonies of Britain were received. Today, the South Block is home to the Prime Minister's office and the Ministers of Defence and External Affairs. The Minister of Finance and Home Affairs occupy the North Block. This image shows the common features found in the Parliament House, the Rashtrapati Bhavan, and the Secretariat. Supreme Court of India. The main block of Supreme Court building was built on a square plot of 22 acres. Also, the Supreme Court building comes under Indo-British architecture style. The building is shaped to project the image of scales of justice with the central wing of the building correspond. The Chief Justice Court is the largest of the courtroom located in the center of the central wing. Next, we are going to look into architecture style of Bombay and also the various masterpieces of colonial architecture in Bombay. Bombay architecture came to be present through the British in the 18th and early 19th century. At first, it was a neoclassical style of architecture, but then a new style came to exist, one that reflects modern European fashion. The classical has an orderly monochromatic presence. The Gothic style is expressive, disjointed with surface of life. Gothic revival architecture draws features from the original Gothic style, including decorative patterns, lancet windows, hood moulds, and label stops. By the mid-19th century, it was established as the preeminent architecture style, not only in India but also in the Western world. Bombay City Hall was built during the period 1820. The University Library in Mumbai, Rajabai Tower, Xavier College, Chhatrapati Shivaji Terminus are fine examples of Gothic architecture in the city. The Indo-Sasanic style. Indo-Sasanic style developed in the second half of the 19th century, combining Islamic, Hindu, and Western elements. The Indo-Sasanic style are characterized by domes, arches, stained glasses, spires, and minarets. The Gateway of India, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Vastu Sangrahalaya are the fine example of Indo-Sasanic architectural style in the city. Art Deco, sometimes referred to as Deco, is a style of visual arts, architecture, and design that first appeared in France just before World War I. Art Deco represented luxury, glamour, and faith in social and technological progress. Art Deco is one of Mumbai's least noticed architecture style, though Mumbai and its suburbs possibly have the largest number of Art Deco buildings in the world. Art Deco in India evolved into a unique style that came to be called Saracenic. Deco Saracenic. It was a combination of Islamic, Hindu, and Western elements. The Mahalakshmi Temple, the Tahangir Art Gallery, the High Court, the General Post Office, the Floral Fountain, Regal Cinema, and Aero Cinema are some of the architectural examples of Art Deco. The Gateway of India is a monument built during the British Raj in Mumbai. It is located on the waterfront in the Apollo Bandra area in South Mumbai and overlooks the Arabian Sea. The structure is a basalt arch that is 26 meter high. It lies at the end of Chhatrapati Shivaji Marg at the water edge in Mumbai harbour. The Gateway of India has been referred to as Taj Mahal of Mumbai and is the city's top tourist attraction. The Taj Mahal Palace Hotel is a heritage 5-star luxury hotel built in the Saracenic Revival style in the city of Mumbai, India, situated next to the Gateway of India. It's been considered one of the finest hotels in the East since the time of British Raj. The hotel is made up of two different buildings, that is, the Taj Mahal Palace and the Tower, which are historically and architecturally distinct from each other. That is, the Taj Mahal Palace was built at the start of 20th century. The tower was opened in 1973. In 2017, the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel acquired an image trademark, the first building in the country to secure intellectual property right protection for its architectural design. The Mumbai Corporation Building is located in South Mumbai, Maharashtra. It is a heritage building opposite to Chhatrapati Shivaji Terminus. It is said to be the largest civic organization in India as well as in Asia, covering an area of 434 square kilometers. Two designs were considered for the building. One of the Gothic designs done by Frederick William Stevens and other in the Indo-Saracenic design prepared by Robert Fellows. In the end, a blend of Vietnamese Gothic and Indo-Saracenic was settled upon. The building was completed in 1893. The Mumbai Corporation Building is a Grade 2A heritage building, which states that the Mumbai Corporation Building is of local importance. They come under the category of local landmarks contributing to the image and the identity of the city and should be conserved and preserved for its cultural and historic value. Chhatrapati Shivaji Terminus, Mumbai. The station building is designed in the high Victorian Gothic style of architecture. The building exhibits a fusion of influence from the Victorian Italianate Gothic Revival architecture and the traditional Indian architecture. The skyline, turrets, pointed arches, and eccentric ground plan are close to the traditional Indian palace architecture. The centrally domed office structure has a 330 feet long platform connected to a 1200 feet long train shed, and its outline provides the skeleton plan for building. VT's dome of dovetail ribs, built without centering, was considered as a novel achievement of the era. Victoria Memorial is a masterpiece of colonial architecture in Calcutta. The design is in Indo-Saracenic revival style. The style uses a mixture of British and Mughal elements, as well as Venetian, Egyptian, Deccanian, and Islamic architecture. It is constructed of white Makran marble. The garden of the Victoria Memorial were designed by Lord Raisdall and David Brain. The Victoria Memorial is dedicated to the memory of Queen Victoria and is now a museum and tourist destination under the Ministry of Culture. The plan of the building consists of one large central part covered with a larger dome. Colonnades separate the two chambers. Each corner holds a smaller dome and is floored with marble plinth. The memorial stands on a 26 hectares of garden surrounded by reflective poles. Examples of colonial architecture in India other than British influences are first with French influence, Franco Tamil House in Pondicherry, St. Andrew's Church in Chennai, and buildings with Dutch influence, Mattancherry Palace in Kochi, Bastion Bungalow in Ernakulam.